International Trade and Policies, MBA Essentials Ep.3. Welcome back to the AGU MBA podcast series. I'm your host, and today, we're diving into one of the most dynamic and impactful topics in global business. International Trade and Policies. Whether you're running a startup or managing operations at a multinational firm, understanding trade policy is key to staying competitive, compliant, and strategic. Let's start with the basics. What is international trade? At its core, international trade is the exchange of goods, services, and capital across borders. Sounds simple, right? But in reality, it's a highly complex system influenced by politics, economics, security, and even values. Why does it matter? Because no country can produce everything efficiently. Through trade, countries specialize based on comparative advantage, and businesses gain access to raw materials, technology, talent, and new markets. A brief look back. Trade isn't new. From the Silk Road to colonial shipping routes, nations have always looked outward to trade. But modern trade, governed by treaties like GATT, the WTO, and regional agreements like NAFTA or RCEP, is structured, monitored, and deeply integrated into global strategy. The theories behind it all. Let's briefly explore some foundational trade theories. Adam Smith's absolute advantage and David Ricardo's comparative advantage explained why countries should specialize. The Heckscher-Ohlin model looked at a country's resources, land, labor, capital, to predict trade flows. Then came new trade theory and Porter's diamond model, which added ideas like scale, technology, and national competitiveness. For MBA students, these theories are more than academic, they're strategic lenses to analyze why companies locate factories in Mexico, outsource services to India, or partner with suppliers in Vietnam. Free trade versus protectionism. Here's where things get real. Free trade promotes open markets, but protectionism seeks to defend domestic industries. Tariffs, quotas, and subsidies are the tools governments use to tilt the playing field. For example, the U.S.-China trade war imposed tariffs on billions of dollars of goods, causing ripple effects across supply chains, stock markets, and boardrooms globally. Trade organizations and agreements. You've probably heard of WTO, the referee of global trade rules. IMF and World Bank, which support financial and developmental stability. UNCTAD, focused on developing economies. And of course, trade blocs like the EU, ASEAN, and CPTPP. These institutions and agreements shape how trade works, who gets access, and how disputes are resolved. Why this matters for business strategy. As a business leader, trade policy isn't just a government issue. It affects your sourcing decisions, your pricing models, your logistics, even your compliance and risk planning. Understanding rules of origin, tariff schedules, and non-tariff barriers is no longer optional, it's essential. Final thoughts. In this globalized, sometimes fragmented world, trade is both an opportunity and a risk. It can open new markets or close them in an instant, depending on politics, pandemics, or policies. That's why every global executive needs to think like an economist, read like a diplomat, and act like a strategist. Thanks for joining us on today's journey through international trade and policies. Be sure to check out the course materials, case studies, and assignment linked in this episode. Until next time, keep learning and keep thinking globally.